Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be discussing about Docker and why do we need Kubernetes. This will be a beginner-friendly video, so if someone wants to learn why Kubernetes exists and what advantage does Kubernetes have over Docker, stay tuned. Let me ask you something. You use Docker, right? You build images, you can run containers, and you feel pretty confident about it, right? But at the same time, something feels off. Things randomly crashes, deployment feels scary, and you secretly knows that if the traffic spikes or your server dies, you are screwed. That feeling is not because you are bad at Docker. It's because Docker was never designed to run a real system. Let's head to our presentation and we'll deep dive into why Kubernetes is necessary. Now here is a lie what we believed about Docker. Docker gave developers superpower. Before Docker, deploying was hell. Multiple servers, different configs, weird bugs. Docker fixed that, right? You package your app, run it anywhere, magic. And for one container, Docker is amazing. But here is the lie. Real applications don't run one container. There are APIs, databases, workers, background job, caches, message queue, all talking to each other. The moment you go from one container to many, Docker stops being a solution and starts being a problem. Now let me show you the reality what happens in a real world application. You deploy an app with Docker, everything works, you feel good, then suddenly one container crashes. Your users are seeing errors. You SSH into the server, you run Docker restart, and then you pray. And the moment your traffic increases, your single container starts to slow down. So you spin up another container manually. Now you have 2, then 3, then 5, and so on. Now you are running a distributed system without a system. Here's the part that no one wants to talk about. The single server trap. Most Docker setup runs on a single server. One virtual machine, one box, one point of failure. The moment your server dies, it's the end. Every container dies with it. Docker cannot save you. Docker does not know what a healthy system looks like. Docker only knows how to start a container. Now, if I have to summarize whatever we discussed in one line, it will be Docker run containers. It does not run a system. And here is where Kubernetes comes into picture. Now here is a brief story of why Kubernetes was born. So Google hit this wall first. Google was not running some 10 containers. They were running millions across thousands of machines. They needed something that could answer questions like which containers are running, which ones are dead, which machines are full, which app needs more replicas. So they built a system that watched containers instead of just starting them. And that system is called Kubernetes. Now you might be wondering what actually Kubernetes is. Does it replace Docker completely? The answer is no. Kubernetes is not a replacement for Docker. It sits on top of Docker. Docker creates container. Kubernetes decide where to run them, how many to run, when to replace them, when to move them, when to kill them, and most importantly, when to create more. It is a control system for the chaos. You tell Kubernetes what you want, like I want 3 copies of this app. I want it always running. I don't want a downtime. And Kubernetes makes reality match your wish. Now since we have discussed how Kubernetes was born, you might be thinking why you actually need it. Do you have to be a very large scale company in order to operate on Kubernetes? Well, you don't use Kubernetes because you are big. You use Kubernetes because you don't want to babysit containers. You don't want to wake up your team at 3 a.m. when something crashes. You don't want to manually scale. You don't want your business to depend on one server. Kubernetes gave us something which Docker never promised, and that is stability. Now here is the part that confuses everyone. If Kubernetes run containers, where do they actually run? On which machine? How does it choose? What is even a node? So that's what I'm breaking down in the next video, where we will finally see where your containers live. Because once you understand that, Kubernetes finally clicks. So stay tuned.